the laugh heard by everyone. This isn't a bank for people like you. Ma'am, take your little dream somewhere else. Loans like this? You're wasting everyone's time. Security's on standby if you don't leave quietly. The bank lobby is bright, modern, and busy, sunlight streaming through tall glass windows, polished marble floors gleaming. Customers wait in line, murmuring softly, while tellers work behind sleek counters. The hum of conversation is broken by one loud, mocking laugh. At the center counter, Melissa, a white bank teller in her 30s, with sharp features and a perfectly pressed uniform, leans forward over the counter, holding a stack of paperwork in one hand. Her smirk twists into an exaggerated laugh as she speaks just loud enough for half the lobby to hear. A loan this size? For you? Honey, I think you're in the wrong place. This isn't a charity, this is a bank. Gasps and murmurs ripple through the line. Several customers glance over, a few pull out their phones, their faces tight with unease. Across from her stands Ariana Carter, a young black woman in her mid-20s. She's dressed professionally, a fitted cream blouse, black trousers, and simple heels, her posture calm but tense, her dark eyes steady as she watches Melissa without flinching. She doesn't speak. She just lets Melissa's laugh echo in the marble hall. Melissa, sensing the eyes on her, intentionally raises her voice even more. Let me save you the trouble, sweetheart. We don't waste time processing applications like these when we know they'll be rejected. A low murmur spreads through the room. A woman near the waiting area whispers audibly. Why is she saying that out loud? That's humiliating. Ariana finally speaks, her tone quiet but cutting, calm enough to hush the whispers. You might want to be careful with your words, Melissa. They have a way of coming back. Melissa scoffs loudly, rolling her eyes. Careful. Sweetheart, I've been doing this job for 10 years. I know exactly who belongs here, and who doesn't. Phones rise higher as customers sense the tension building. The air in the lobby feels heavier now, every whisper and camera click amplifying the moment. Fade to black. The faint sound of Melissa's mocking laugh lingers as the scene ends. Louder on purpose. The bright, modern bank lobby hums with quiet murmurs, but most eyes are now fixed on the center counter. Melissa, the teller, senses the attention, and instead of lowering her voice, she leans closer to her microphone, making sure her words cut across the lobby. You know what, sweetheart? Let's make this quick. A loan like this will never be approved under your circumstances. She lets the sentence linger, glancing deliberately at Ariana, then at the customers who are now watching. A smirk curls across her lips, almost inviting more attention. Her nails tap the counter in a slow, deliberate rhythm, adding to the irritation. Ariana doesn't flinch. Her hands rest loosely at her sides, posture calm, chin slightly raised. Her dark eyes meet Melissa's with a quiet steadiness, not defiance, not fear, just patience. A man in line whispers to his companion, his voice low but audible enough. Why is she talking like that? That's not how they're supposed to handle customers. Melissa catches the whisper and smiles wider, clearly feeding on the attention. She flicks Ariana's paperwork against the counter, the sound sharp in the quiet space. See? Even the other customers know how this is going to end. Save yourself the embarrassment and just walk out now. Ariana finally tilts her head slightly, her voice soft but carrying across the lobby. You seem very confident, Melissa. Confident enough that you don't even need to check policy or facts before making decisions, huh? Melissa's smirk stiffens for a beat, but she recovers quickly, leaning forward again. Sweetheart, I don't need to check anything. I've been here long enough to know who's worth the paperwork and who isn't. The quiet murmurs grow louder. Two customers near the seating area exchange glances, one of them lifts their phone, angling the camera to catch the entire exchange. The tension in the air feels heavier with each word, like a storm slowly building. Fade to black. The faint sound of Melissa tapping Ariana's paperwork echoes as the screen cuts. Phones start rolling. The lobby's soft background hum is almost gone now, replaced by the quiet buzz of whispers and the faint click of phone cameras. Customers in line shift uncomfortably, some leaning forward, others holding up their phones openly, recording every second. Melissa notices the phones, but instead of toning down, she leans on the counter and raises her voice a little more. "You can record all you want, folks. It won't change the fact that this application is a joke. Our time is valuable, and some people don't respect that." The words hang heavy, echoing across the marble floor. Some customers frown. A woman near the corner mutters, "She's really saying this out loud? She's begging for trouble." Ariana remains still, her hands lightly clasped in front of her. Her breathing is slow, her expression unreadable, no anger, no tears, just a calm that makes Melissa shift slightly in her stance. After a long pause, Ariana speaks, her voice low, even, and deliberate. "Melissa, the louder you get, the more this will cost you later." Melissa lets out a short, sharp laugh, a sound that cuts through the lobby. "Oh, is that a threat? Sweetheart, you don't scare me. I've dealt with plenty like you." A murmur runs through the lobby, several customers lower their phones for a moment, whispering to each other. One man near the exit says just loud enough, "She's pushing way too far. This is going to backfire." Melissa's smile falters just for a second as Ariana's calm gaze lingers on her. The tension is palpable, like everyone can sense the scales are about to shift, but not yet. Fade to black. The faint sound of a phone notification ping echoes as the scene cuts. Policy and threats. The lobby feels tighter now, as if the polished marble walls are holding in the tension. Customers stay quiet but their phones remain up, their faces reflecting a mix of shock and curiosity. Melissa straightens behind the counter, tapping Ariana's paperwork against the marble deliberately, each tap echoing louder than it should. Her tone sharpens, her voice carrying through the lobby. "You know what? Let's make this easy. I don't even need to process this. Policy says we can refuse any application that doesn't meet standards, and frankly, this one doesn't even come close." Ariana's calm gaze doesn't waver. She simply tilts her head slightly, speaking softly, yet every word cuts through the silence. "Interesting. Because policy also says, staff must treat every customer with respect. Seems like you skipped that part of training." A low murmur ripples through the crowd. A customer near the seating area whispers, "She's not yelling. She's just dismantling her with calm words." Melissa's jaw tightens, her smirk stiffening. She leans slightly closer, lowering her voice but making it pointed. "If you don't stop holding up my line, I'll call security and have you escorted out. Your little loan can wait while you cool off outside." Several phones tilt closer, capturing her words. The junior banker at the far counter glances nervously toward Melissa, her hands frozen over her keyboard. She whispers quietly to the colleague beside her. She's going to regret saying that, especially in front of all these cameras. Ariana doesn't move, her posture unshaken. Her voice stays calm, even softer now. "Go ahead, Melissa. Call whoever you need. Just know, it won't end the way you think." Melissa's brow furrows, just slightly, as if a crack in her confidence shows for the first time. Fade to black. The faint hum of the bank's air conditioning lingers as the scene cuts. The manager steps in. The air in the bank feels almost heavy, the quiet broken only by the soft hum of phones recording and Melissa's deliberate taps on the marble counter. Customers exchange glances, whispering, the tension drawing everyone in closer. Melissa, sensing the stares, straightens her posture and calls out loudly, her voice echoing across the polished lobby. "Mr. Daniels. Can you come here, please? We've got someone holding up the line with a loan that isn't even worth processing." Gasps ripple through the waiting area. A man near the corner mutters to his friend. "She's really announcing it like that? That's wow." From a glass-walled office at the back, branch manager Daniels emerges, a tall, middle-aged man in a sharp gray suit. His brow is already furrowed as he approaches the counter, adjusting his tie as his eyes shift between Melissa, Ariana, and the murmuring crowd. Melissa immediately leans toward him, her voice pitched just loud enough for others to hear. She's applying for a loan way above her means, No collateral, nothing that fits our profiles. I'm just trying to keep the line moving. Daniels glances at Ariana briefly, noting her calm posture, her professional attire, the way her eyes remain steady despite the growing scene. He exhales sharply, his tone curt but not loud. Let me see the file. Melissa hands over the paperwork, smirking as if the manager's presence will seal Ariana's humiliation. Customers shift in their seats, phones rising a little higher. Ariana finally speaks, her voice soft but audible to the crowd. Take all the time you need, Mr. Daniels. Just make sure you read it carefully, before you make the same mistake twice. Daniels looks up at her, just for a moment, his brow furrowing deeper, sensing something beneath Ariana's calmness that Melissa clearly hasn't noticed. Fade to black. The faint sound of murmurs and phone notifications lingers as the scene ends. Taking Melissa's side. The polished marble lobby is silent but buzzing with tension, every customer's eyes are locked on the counter where Daniels flips through Ariana's loan file. Phones remain up, capturing every detail. Melissa stands beside him, arms folded, her smirk creeping back as if she already knows the outcome. Her voice lowers to a condescending whisper, loud enough for Ariana, and the customers closest, to hear. Told you. Not even the manager can make this one work. Daniels exhales through his nose, his eyes scanning the paperwork. After a long pause, he looks up at Ariana, his tone clipped and dismissive. Ma'am, based on what I see here, this application doesn't align with our current lending profiles. It's unlikely we'd move forward. A few murmurs ripple through the room, one customer near the entrance whispers audibly. They're shutting her down without even reviewing everything. This feels wrong. Ariana doesn't move. Her arms stay relaxed at her sides, her voice soft but resonant. Mr. Daniels, would you like to review all pages, or just the ones Melissa handed you? Daniels blinks, just for a second, but Melissa quickly interjects, waving a dismissive hand. Oh, don't bother. The rest won't change anything. She's wasting everyone's time, and I've got real clients to help. Several phones zoom in closer, a young man near the teller line mutters to his friend. This is going viral. You can feel it. Ariana's calm gaze shifts from Daniels to Melissa, her voice lowering slightly, but still clear enough for the microphones and phones to catch. Keep talking, Melissa. Every word you say is building a record, one you're not going to like when this is done. Melissa stiffens, her smirk faltering just slightly as the weight of Ariana's words lingers in the quiet air. Fade to black. The faint click of a phone camera shutter echoes as the screen cuts. Mockery in front of everyone. The lobby feels thick with unease, the polished marble and glass making every sound sharper. Phones remain raised, some now streaming live, quiet chat notifications buzz faintly from the viewers watching in real time. Melissa, sensing the cameras but refusing to back down, lets out a loud, theatrical sigh, leaning casually against the counter. Her voice drips with sarcasm as she raises it enough for the whole lobby to hear. You know, I see this all the time. People come in here with big dreams and no clue how the real world works. It's sad, honestly, but rules are rules. A few customers exchange uneasy looks, one whispers near the waiting area. She's not even hiding it anymore. She wants everyone to hear this. Ariana doesn't respond immediately. Her calm posture remains the same, hands resting loosely in front of her, shoulders relaxed. When she finally speaks, her tone is even and steady, cutting through Melissa's performative cruelty like a blade. You're not just breaking policy, Melissa. You're broadcasting it, for every phone in this room to hear. Melissa's smirk twitches, but she quickly recovers, waving Ariana off with a flick of her hand. Oh, please. Nobody cares about a little tough love. We're just doing our jobs, making sure we don't waste time on loans that don't stand a chance. A man in line mutters just loud enough. She's not doing her job. She's enjoying this. Daniel stands slightly behind the counter now, his expression tight. He doesn't interrupt Melissa yet, but his eyes narrow subtly at the phones catching every word. Ariana's calm gaze shifts between Daniels and Melissa, her voice low but clear enough for the microphones nearby. Keep going. You'll regret every word before this day is over. For the first time, Melissa's smirk falters for longer than a second, her eyes flicking to the nearest phone aimed directly at her face. Fade to black. The soft hum of phone notifications and hushed whispers lingers as the scene cuts. The quiet call. The lobby feels like it's holding its breath. Phones are still raised, some live streams quietly buzzing with viewer notifications, while Melissa stands behind the counter with her arms folded, her smirk creeping back. Daniels watches silently from the side, his brow furrowed but unmoving. Ariana doesn't react to Melissa's latest jab. Instead, with a calm, deliberate motion, she reaches into her sleek black handbag, pulls out her phone, and dials a number. She doesn't leave the counter. She doesn't even step aside. Melissa raises a brow, her voice dripping with mockery. Calling a friend to help you get that loan? Maybe they can co-sign so we can all stop wasting time here. A soft murmur ripples through the customers. One whispers audibly. She's not panicking. She's planning something. Ariana speaks quietly into the phone, her tone so calm it cuts through Melissa's exaggerated voice. Yes, it's Ariana. Bring the paperwork. And bring him. She ends the call and slips the phone back into her bag with the same steady composure, her eyes never leaving Melissa's. Her voice is soft but carries just enough for those nearby to hear. You'll want to remember every word you've said today, Melissa. Melissa lets out a scoff, her arms tightening across her chest. Oh, please. Bringing backup won't change the numbers in your file. This isn't a negotiation. It's math. Several customers exchange glances, their phones tilting closer, a faint buzz of whispers rising again. Daniel shifts his weight slightly, his eyes lingering on Ariana now, a subtle unease creeping into his expression for the first time. Fade to black. The faint sound of a phone notification ping echoes softly as the scene ends. Whispers behind the counter. The lobby remains tense and quiet, aside from the faint hum of phones recording and the soft chatter of customers whispering to each other. Every eye is still locked on the center counter. Melissa leans slightly toward Daniels, lowering her voice just enough so it's supposed to be private, but the microphones from nearby phones still catch it. She's just stalling, trying to make a scene. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she's doing this for attention, maybe to post online and make us look bad. Daniels glances at Melissa, his brow furrowed. Keep your voice down, he murmurs back, though not firmly enough to stop her. Melissa rolls her eyes dramatically, flicking Ariana's paperwork on the counter as she mutters. I mean, just look at this file. No collateral, barely any assets, asking for a ridiculous amount. She's wasting our time, and everyone else's. A customer near the waiting area whispers audibly. She's not even pretending to be professional anymore. This is getting ugly. Ariana stands perfectly still, hands clasped loosely in front of her. Her calm gaze sweeps briefly over Melissa and Daniels, then toward the phones catching every word. After a quiet moment, her voice, soft but unmistakably firm, breaks the tension. You should both be careful. Every word you speak right now is being recorded. And will be reviewed by someone far above this branch. Melissa stiffens slightly, her smirk faltering for a heartbeat before she quickly forces it back. Oh, sweetheart, I've got nothing to hide. We follow procedure here. If you can't handle being told no, that's not my problem. The whispers grow louder, a man in line mutters to another. She's digging her own grave, and she doesn't even know it. Daniel's eyes narrow slightly, a flicker of doubt crossing his face for the first time. Fade to black. The faint sound of phones clicking and a soft whisper from the crowd lingers as the screen cuts. Smug conversations. The bank lobby hums with the quiet static of whispers and faint phone notifications. Every customer is still watching, phones aimed at the counter, the polished marble floors amplifying every subtle sound. Melissa leans slightly toward Daniels, lowering her voice, but not enough to avoid the microphones from the nearest phones. Her tone carries a smug edge. You see what I mean? People like her think they can walk in here and demand anything. I'm saving us the trouble by shutting it down before it goes anywhere. Daniels exhales slowly, nodding faintly, his eyes still on Ariana's paperwork. I trust your read on this. We've got lending standards for a reason, no point in wasting underwriting's time. Ariana doesn't move. She doesn't even turn her head toward them. She simply clasps her hands loosely in front of her, her gaze steady, letting their words fill the space while customers record silently. A woman in the waiting area whispers audibly. They're talking like she can't hear them, or like none of this is being recorded. Melissa lets out a low chuckle, tapping the edge of Ariana's loan file against the counter. Honestly, it's almost funny. Some people just don't realize when they're out of their league. Ariana finally shifts her gaze slightly, not at Melissa, but at the cluster of phones now recording from multiple angles. Her tone is quiet, calm, and deliberate, just enough for the mics to pick up. Every word you're saying will matter. Sooner than you think. Melissa glances up, her smirk faltering just a fraction, as if the calmness in Ariana's voice sends a chill through her confidence. Daniels notices but stays silent, his brow tightening. Fade to black. The faint sound of phone camera shutters clicks as the scene cuts. The crowd joins in. The lobby feels heavier by the minute, the marble and glass amplifying every whisper. The soft hum of phones recording has grown louder, more customers are openly holding their cameras, some even streaming live. A young man near the teller line glances down at his phone, his voice just loud enough for others to hear. It's already online. People are commenting, this is blowing up fast. Melissa hears him but doesn't flinch. She straightens her back, lifting her chin slightly, her voice growing louder for everyone to hear. Let them post it. I don't care who watches, policy is policy. If you can't meet our requirements, you don't get a loan. Simple. Daniels nods faintly beside her, though his eyes flick toward the phones, a subtle unease creeping into his posture. Ariana stays perfectly calm. Her hands remain loosely clasped in front of her, her gaze moving from Melissa to the crowd, meeting a few customers' eyes without saying a word. The silence she keeps feels heavier than any argument. A woman seated near the waiting area leans toward her companion, whispering audibly. Why isn't she arguing back? She's just waiting. Like she knows something's coming. Melissa notices the murmurs and smirks again, tapping Ariana's paperwork sharply on the counter. Hear that? Even the crowd thinks this is pointless. Might as well leave before security has to escort you out. Ariana finally speaks, her tone low and deliberate, almost calm enough to unsettle the room. Melissa. I told you. This will cost you more than you realize. Melissa's smirk falters again for the briefest moment, her eyes flicking to the nearest phone pointed at her face before she recovers, forcing a scoff. Sweetheart, I've heard that 1,000 times. Trust me, it never ends the way you think. The customers murmur louder now, the tension tangible as phones stay fixed on Melissa's face. Fade to black. The faint buzz of phone notifications and whispers fills the silence as the scene cuts. The call that changes everything. The bank lobby is so quiet now that the faint buzz of phone notifications feels loud. Every customer remains fixed on the center counter, phones recording as Melissa stands with her arms crossed, smirk intact, while Daniels watches silently from the side. Ariana's phone vibrates softly in her handbag. Without rushing, she reaches in, pulls it out, and answers with a calm tone that cuts through the hushed space. Yes. I'm here. Bring the documents, and bring him as well. Her words are clear enough for the nearest phones to pick up. The crowd stirs, a man in line leans toward another customer and whispers. Who's him? She's not calling a lawyer, this feels different. Melissa tilts her head, her smirk curling wider as she leans on the counter, speaking loudly enough for the whole lobby. Oh, calling in reinforcements? Let me guess, a friend, maybe an uncle? Hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but no one's swooping in to save this little fantasy loan. The murmurs ripple louder now. Some customers chuckle nervously, others shake their heads, clearly aware Melissa is digging herself deeper. Ariana calmly ends the call and slides her phone back into her bag. She doesn't look at Melissa, she doesn't even respond to her jab. Instead, she turns slightly toward Daniels, her voice low, calm, and deliberate. "Mr. Daniels, I'd recommend keeping this branch calm for the next few minutes. What's coming will be significant." Daniels blinks, his brow furrowing at her tone. Melissa scoffs, rolling her eyes. "What, you bringing the news cameras? This is a bank, sweetheart, not a stage for your drama." Ariana's eyes shift back to Melissa for the first time, her tone soft but heavy with quiet authority. "No, Melissa. It's not a stage. But when this is done, you'll wish it was." The lobby falls silent again. Phones stay locked on Ariana as Melissa's smirk wavers, just slightly, for the first time. Fade to black. The faint sound of a customer's phone shutter clicking lingers as the screen cuts. The louder she gets. The bank lobby feels like a stage now, every customer is locked in, phones raised, their whispers rising and falling like a low tide. The tension is so thick that even the faint buzz of a phone notification seems amplified. Melissa, emboldened by her own voice, leans on the counter with one elbow, her smirk returning in full force. Her voice grows louder, carrying through the entire lobby. "Honestly, folks, this is what we deal with all the time. People walk in thinking they can just sign a few papers and walk out with hundreds of thousands. It's not how the world works." A couple of customers exchange glances, one mutters audibly. "She's not even pretending to be professional now. She's putting on a show." Daniel shifts his stance behind the counter, his eyes flicking toward Melissa as if to signal her to tone it down, but he doesn't intervene. Melissa continues, waving Ariana's paperwork slightly in her hand as if it's a prop. "You see this? This loan file will be rejected before it even leaves this desk. I'm just saving everyone time, including her." Ariana doesn't react. She stands quietly, hands resting at her sides, her expression calm but unreadable. She lets Melissa's voice fill the room, every word, every smirk, every exaggerated gesture caught by the wall of phones pointed at her. Finally, Ariana speaks, her voice low, smooth, and deliberate, slicing through the noise. "Melissa, keep talking. Because when this is over, those words will do more damage to you than to me." Melissa's smirk falters for just a second, her eyes flicking to the nearest camera. She forces a laugh, louder than before. "Sweetheart, I've heard that before. Trust me, you'll be walking out before I will." The murmurs grow louder. A woman near the waiting area whispers to her companion. She doesn't even realize how bad this looks on camera. Fade to black. The faint sound of tapping fingers on phone screens fills the silence as the scene cuts. Security threats. The lobby is silent except for Melissa's voice, every word echoing against the marble walls. Customers keep their phones aimed, some whispering quietly to each other while others simply watch, wide-eyed. Melissa straightens, tucking Ariana's paperwork under one arm. Her tone turns sharper, her volume rising just enough for the entire lobby to hear. "All right, enough is enough. If you're not going to leave quietly, I'll call security and have you escorted out. We're not running a charity, sweetheart, and you're holding up actual customers." Gasps ripple through the crowd. A man near the entrance mutters to his companion. "She's threatening to kick her out? In front of everyone? That's bold and stupid." Daniel's brow furrows as he glances at Melissa, his lips pressing into a thin line, but still, he doesn't stop her. Ariana finally tilts her head slightly, her voice low, calm, and unwavering. "Melissa, call whoever you need. But understand this, the more people you involve, the worse this will get, for you." Melissa scoffs, forcing out a laugh, but her fingers fidget slightly against the paperwork tucked under her arm. "Oh, I'll call them. Let's see how confident you are when you're standing outside on the sidewalk with no loan and no dignity." The murmurs rise, louder now. A woman seated near the lounge whispers. She's not scared. It's like she wants Melissa to make that call. Ariana's gaze doesn't move from Melissa's. Her voice remains calm, but there's a weight behind it now, a quiet finality that seems to thicken the air. "Do it, Melissa. Every second you drag this out is another second you'll regret later." Melissa hesitates, just briefly, before reaching for the phone on the counter, her smirk trembling for the first time. Fade to black. The faint click of a phone camera shutter echoes as the scene cuts. The arrival. The bank lobby holds a heavy silence, broken only by the faint hum of phones recording and the quiet shuffle of waiting customers. Melissa stands rigid behind the counter, one hand on the desk phone, her smirk thin but still there. Daniels watches from beside her, his eyes flicking uneasily toward Ariana, who hasn't moved an inch. The glass entrance doors slide open. Two sharply dressed assistants, both in dark suits, carrying slim briefcases, step inside. Their posture is straight, their pace purposeful, their expressions unreadable as they cross the marble floor toward Ariana. The murmurs swell immediately. A customer near the teller line whispers just loud enough for the microphones to catch. Those aren't lawyers. They look like corporate, high-level. Melissa notices them but smirks wider, her voice loud and mocking. Oh, so this is the cavalry? What, you brought in some friends to beg for that loan? The assistants don't look at Melissa. They walk straight to Ariana, standing just behind her as one opens a briefcase and quietly hands her a folder. The other leans in slightly, speaking softly but clear enough for the phones nearby. Everything is signed, Ms. Carter. Your father is on his way. The murmurs spike. A woman seated near the waiting area gasps audibly. Her father? Wait, who's her father? Melissa's smirk falters, her brow creasing as her voice sharpens. What does that mean? Who exactly are you bringing here? Ariana finally turns her gaze toward Melissa, her tone calm but carrying a weight that makes even Daniels straighten slightly. Someone who will make sure this branch never forgets today. Melissa stiffens, glancing quickly at Daniels as the crowd's whispers grow louder. Daniels' brow furrows deeper, sensing the balance of power beginning to shift. Fade to black. The faint buzz of a phone notification and the echo of heels on marble linger as the scene cuts. The smirk starts to slip. The lobby is no longer just tense, it feels charged, as though everyone is waiting for a storm to break. Phones remain raised, recording every flicker of movement. The two assistants stand calmly behind Ariana, their dark suits and stillness adding an unspoken weight to the moment. Melissa adjusts her stance behind the counter, gripping Ariana's paperwork a little tighter. Her smirk lingers, but there's a flicker of unease in her eyes as she glances between the assistants and Ariana. Her voice is still loud, though it trembles slightly around the edges. You think bringing in some suits is going to change anything? This is still my desk, and my branch. Your little performance doesn't scare me. A low murmur runs through the lobby. A man near the lounge whispers. She's trying to convince herself more than anyone else. Daniels, standing slightly behind Melissa, clears his throat softly. His tone is measured, but there's a note of caution. Melissa, maybe we should wait and see what this is about before escalating. Melissa shoots him a sharp glare, snapping in a hushed whisper, though the nearby microphones still catch it. No. If we back down now, we look weak. She's bluffing. She has to be. Ariana remains silent, her gaze steady on Melissa, her posture calm. Finally, she speaks, her voice low, smooth, and deliberate. Melissa, the only person bluffing here is you. And the clock is running out. Melissa's smirk falters visibly now. Her eyes flick toward the entrance doors as if expecting someone, or dreading it. The murmurs swell as the crowd senses the shift, a woman in the back whispering. It feels like something big is about to drop. Fade to black. The faint sound of a phone shutter clicking and a quiet, nervous exhale from a customer linger as the scene cuts. The quiet pressure. The lobby feels heavier than ever, the polished marble floors amplifying every small sound, from the faint buzz of phones recording to the soft click of shoes as people shift uncomfortably. The two assistants stand behind Ariana, silent but commanding, their presence enough to make Daniel's posture tighten. Daniels clears his throat and leans slightly toward Ariana, his voice low, measured, but still audible to the nearest phones. Ms. Carter, these gentlemen, are they here to discuss your application further? Before Ariana can respond, One of the assistants steps slightly forward, his voice calm but professional, carrying just enough weight to cut through the whispers. "Mr. Daniels, we're not here about the application. We're here about this branch, and its conduct." The murmurs spike instantly. A man near the teller line whispers, "Conduct? They're not just here for a loan, they're here for the whole branch." Melissa stiffens, gripping the paperwork tighter as she snaps, her voice sharp and defensive. "Excuse me? This is my branch. We follow policy here. If she doesn't qualify, that's not our fault." Ariana finally turns her gaze to Daniels, her tone low, calm, and deliberate. "Mr. Daniels, I'd recommend you start reviewing your staff logs now. Because what happens next will be a lot harder on anyone who pretends they didn't notice what's been happening." Daniels blinks, his eyes flicking between Ariana and Melissa. His lips press into a thin line, his unease deepening. Melissa, sensing his hesitation, scoffs loudly, though her voice cracks slightly. "She's bluffing. This is all just an act to intimidate us." Ariana doesn't even look at her. Her eyes stay on Daniels, her voice soft but sharp. "You'll find out soon enough who's bluffing." The crowd's whispers swell, a woman near the lounge murmuring. She's not even raising her voice, but she's got the whole room on edge. Fade to black. The faint echo of the assistant's briefcases setting softly on the marble floor lingers as the scene cuts. Cracks in the smirk. The lobby is silent but electric, every eye and every phone focused on the sender counter. Even the faint hum of the air conditioning feels loud against the tension in the room. Melissa's hand trembles slightly as she grips Ariana's paperwork, her knuckles whitening. Her smirk returns, but it's thin, strained, her voice rising to mask the unease creeping into her tone. "You think a couple of suits and some threats are going to scare me? I know how this works. You can't bully your way into a loan. Not here." The murmurs ripple through the crowd. A man near the entrance whispers audibly. She's not confident anymore. She's desperate now. Daniel stays quiet, his eyes darting between Ariana, the assistants, and Melissa. His fingers tap softly on the counter, betraying his own unease. The assistants remain still, their posture unshaken, their silence adding to the weight pressing down on the room. Ariana remains motionless, her hands resting calmly at her sides. Her gaze doesn't leave Melissa, but she doesn't speak. Her silence feels heavier than words, amplifying Melissa's growing nervousness. Melissa's voice sharpens again, her pitch climbing as she tries to fill the quiet. "What, you're just going to stand there? You can't intimidate me by saying nothing. This is my branch. I'm in charge here, and you don't get to." She stops mid-sentence as the glass entrance doors slide open again. The sound alone draws every head in the lobby toward the entrance. A hush falls so deep that the faint shuffle of footsteps feels like thunder. Melissa's smirk falters completely as her eyes widen, locking on whoever just walked in. The murmurs swell into a wave, someone near the teller line whispering, "Is that him?" Fade to black. The sound of slow, deliberate footsteps on marble lingers as the scene cuts. The CEO walks in. The glass doors close softly behind a towering figure, Richard Carter, a man in his late 50s, sharp gray suit, polished shoes, his presence commanding the room without a word. His measured steps echo across the marble floor as the entire lobby falls into an almost reverent silence. Phones angle instantly toward him, the faint sound of shutters clicking blending with the quiet hum of the air conditioning. Every customer can sense it, whoever he is, he's not just another visitor. Melissa stiffens, her fingers tightening so hard around Ariana's paperwork that the edges crumple. Her voice, now strained, cracks as she tries to speak. Who is?" Before she can finish, one of the assistants steps forward, his calm voice carrying easily across the hushed lobby. "Mr. Richard Carter, Chief Executive Officer of this bank." Gasps ripple through the waiting area. A woman near the lounge whispers audibly, "He's the Carter?" The CEO, her father. Daniels instantly straightens his posture, his voice faltering as he stammers. Mr. Carter. We didn't expect." Richard Carter raises a hand, silencing him with a single gesture. His gaze sweeps the lobby briefly, landing on Ariana for a moment before turning, slow and deliberate, to Melissa. Melissa swallows hard, her smirk completely gone, her voice dropping to a shaky whisper. "Sir, I didn't know." Richard's voice is low, even, and authoritative, cutting through the silence like a blade. "That's the problem, isn't it? You didn't bother to know. Instead, you decided to humiliate a customer, my daughter, in front of a lobby full of witnesses." The crowd murmurs loudly now, the tension breaking into soft gasps and whispers as every phone in the room focuses on Melissa's paling face. Richard steps closer to the counter, his tone staying calm but unmistakably firm. "Melissa, Daniels, we're going to have a very different conversation about this branch. Right now." Melissa's breath hitches audibly, her fingers loosening as Ariana's paperwork slips slightly in her grip. Fade to black. The faint click of phone cameras capturing the moment lingers as the scene cuts. The gasps and the shift. The lobby erupts into a low wave of gasps and murmurs, the polished marble and glass amplifying every whispered reaction. Phones stay fixed, dozens of little red recording dots glowing as customers capture every moment. Melissa stands frozen behind the counter, Ariana's crumpled paperwork still clutched in her shaking hands. Her confident posture is gone, replaced by rigid tension and darting eyes. Her voice trembles as she stammers. "Sir, I didn't realize. I didn't know she was." Richard Carter's gaze doesn't soften. His tone stays calm, deliberate, and cold. "You didn't need to know who she was, Melissa. You just needed to do your job and treat her with respect. But you failed at both." The murmurs swell, a woman near the waiting area whispering audibly. "She's done." You can see it in her face. Daniels clears his throat nervously, stepping forward as if to salvage the situation. "Mr. Carter, I assure you, this isn't standard protocol. I'll personally review the situation and—" Richard raises a hand again, silencing him without a glance. "You'll do more than review, Daniels. You'll prepare a full report on every complaint, every incident, and every piece of footage from this branch. Today, we set a new standard." Melissa's breathing grows shallow. She glances toward the crowd, her face pale as the phones continue capturing her unraveling. Her lips part as if to speak, but no words come. Ariana remains silent beside her father, her posture calm and steady. Her eyes sweep briefly across the lobby, not in triumph, but with a quiet, composed resolve. Fade to black. The faint buzz of phone notifications and whispers lingers as the scene cuts. The public address. The lobby, silent just seconds ago, hums with whispers and the faint buzz of phones. Dozens of customers are recording, their cameras trained on Richard Carter as he steps forward, his presence commanding the entire space. He faces the gathered crowd, his tone measured but firm, every word echoing against the marble. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for what you've witnessed today. This is not the standard of service I expect from any branch of this bank, and it will be corrected immediately." Murmurs ripple through the room, some customers nod, others hold their phones higher to capture his words. A woman near the lounge whispers audibly. "He's not just talking to us, he's making this official." Richard turns slightly, his gaze landing squarely on Melissa. His voice lowers, but the calmness carries a far heavier weight than any yell could. "Melissa, you didn't just disrespect a customer. You disrespected this bank, this brand, and everyone watching. Your actions today will be addressed, publicly." Melissa's lips tremble as she tries to speak, her voice cracking. "Sir, I didn't mean." Richard cuts her off, his tone still calm but unyielding. "You meant every word, Melissa. That's why every phone in this room is capturing it, and why you'll answer for it." The murmurs swell louder. A man near the entrance whispers to his friend. "This is over for her. You can see it in his face, there's no saving this." Ariana remains silent, her posture steady. She doesn't need to speak, her calm, composed presence contrasts Melissa's unraveling so sharply that the crowd can feel the tables have fully turned. Richard looks back to the customers, his tone firm. Thank you for your patience. This branch will operate differently after today. You have my word. The crowd, silent and watchful, captures every word, the sound of phone shutters punctuating the quiet. Fade to black. The faint click of a phone recording stopping echoes as the scene cuts. The investigation begins. The air in the lobby feels like it's vibrating with tension and whispers. Every phone stays locked on the center of the room, the sound of faint notifications echoing against the marble walls. Richard turns his gaze from Melissa to Daniels. His tone remains calm but sharp, every word cutting through the silence. Mr. Daniels, how many customer complaints have been filed against this branch in the last 3 months? Daniels swallows, shifting his weight nervously. Sir, I'd need to pull the full report. But I know we've had a few incidents. Richard tilts his head slightly, his voice lowering, which somehow makes it feel heavier. Pull all of them. And while you're at it, collect every incident log, especially anything involving this teller. He gestures subtly toward Melissa without breaking eye contact with Daniels. Melissa's breathing quickens. She grips the counter for support, her voice shaking as she blurts. Sir, please, I can explain. Some of those complaints were misunderstandings. Customers exaggerate. Richard's calm gaze turns back to her, silencing her mid-sentence. Melissa, the footage speaks louder than excuses. And from what I can see, we have plenty of both. The murmurs rise again, a woman near the waiting area whispers audibly. He's not yelling, but it's worse. He's just dismantling her. Daniels nods quickly, fumbling with his tablet as he starts accessing the branch logs. One of Ariana's assistants steps closer, his voice low but firm. Mr. Carter, we already have preliminary numbers. The pattern here isn't good. Melissa's face drains of color. Her smirk is long gone, replaced by wide, darting eyes as she glances toward the phone still aimed directly at her. Ariana remains silent, her calm demeanor radiating through the tension. She doesn't need to say a word, every customer can see the shift is now permanent. Fade to black. The faint tapping of Daniel's tablet and the soft click of phone shutters linger as the scene cuts. Desperation on display. The lobby feels almost still, every sound amplified, from the faint hum of phones recording to the nervous shuffle of Melissa's heels on the polished marble floor. Every eye and every camera remains trained on her as Daniels quietly scrolls through the branch logs for Richard. Melissa's breathing is shallow, her shoulders stiff as she grips Ariana's paperwork tighter, the edges now bent and creased. Her voice cracks slightly as she raises it, trying to sound confident but only revealing the panic beneath. Mr. Carter, please, this isn't what it looks like. I was just trying to protect the bank. We can't hand out massive loans without scrutiny, not when. Richard cuts her off without raising his voice. His calm, level tone lands heavier than any shout could. Scrutiny is fine, Melissa. Humiliation, condescension, and public ridicule are not. Gasps ripple through the lobby. A man near the teller line whispers audibly. She just got flattened in front of everyone, without him even yelling. Melissa's eyes dart toward the crowd, her voice trembling as she pleads. You all have to understand, I wasn't being cruel. I was just following policy. If this gets out, people will twist it, and Ariana finally speaks, her tone low, calm, but with a quiet authority that silences the murmurs. Melissa, it's already out. Every phone in this room is streaming. There's no twisting what you said, they heard every word. Melissa's lips part, but no sound comes out. She glances at the glowing red dots of the recording phones, her hands trembling now as Ariana's words sink in. Daniels looks up from his tablet, his expression tense as he turns to Richard. Sir, I have the logs. There's a lot here. Richard nods slowly, his gaze never leaving Melissa as he responds. Then we'll address every single one. Starting with today. The murmurs swell, the crowd shifting as the weight of Richard's words fills the space. Fade to black. The faint click of a phone shutter and Melissa's uneven breathing linger as the scene cuts. The suspension. The lobby is silent except for the quiet hum of phones recording. The tension feels almost physical as Richard Carter steps forward, his gaze fixed on Melissa. Daniels stands slightly behind him, holding the tablet with the branch logs pulled up, his jaw tight. Melissa's breathing is shallow, her fingers trembling as they clutch Ariana's paperwork, now wrinkled and bent beyond recognition. Her voice is barely more than a whisper. "Sir, please. I didn't mean for it to get this far. If I could just explain." Richard cuts her off, his tone calm but final. "Melissa, there's nothing left to explain. Your actions today have been recorded by every customer in this lobby, and they speak for themselves. Effective immediately, you are suspended pending termination review." Gasps ripple through the room. A woman near the waiting area whispers audibly, "She's done. There's no coming back from that." Melissa's lips tremble as she stares at Richard, her voice breaking. "Sir, please, I've been here for 10 years. I've given everything to this branch. Don't do this in front of everyone." Richard's calm voice cuts her off again, his tone heavy with quiet authority. "No, Melissa. You did this in front of everyone. I'm just holding you accountable for it." The murmurs swell as phones tilt closer, capturing every word, every flicker of emotion on Melissa's face. A man near the entrance mutters just loud enough for the mics to catch. "She was humiliating people 20 minutes ago, now look at her." Ariana remains silent at her father's side, her calm posture a stark contrast to Melissa's unraveling form. She doesn't need to speak, her steady presence says more than words. Melissa's shoulders slump, her grip loosening as Ariana's crumpled paperwork slips from her hand onto the marble counter. Her eyes dart toward the exit, as if realizing for the first time that every phone in the room is aimed at her. Fade to black. The faint sound of a phone shutter clicking and Melissa's shaky exhale linger as the scene cuts. Escorted out. The lobby's tension is palpable, every phone capturing the moment as Melissa's breath hitches audibly. Her shoulders are rigid, her lips trembling as she glances toward the glowing red recording lights around the room. The glass doors slide open once more. 2 uniformed security officers step inside, their polished shoes clicking softly against the marble floor as they approach the center of the lobby. Their expressions are calm, professional, but their presence makes the murmurs swell. Melissa takes a step back from the counter, her voice cracking. "Wait, are they here for me? Mr. Carter, please, I can walk out on my own. We don't need to make this a spectacle." Richard's tone remains calm, steady, and absolute. "Melissa, this isn't a spectacle. It's a consequence. You've humiliated a customer publicly, now you'll be held accountable publicly." Gasps ripple through the crowd as the phones tilt closer, every camera catching Melissa's wide, panicked eyes. A woman seated near the lounge whispers audibly. She was taunting people earlier. Now she's begging to avoid the same treatment. The security officers step to either side of Melissa. One of them, his voice firm but polite, says, "Ma'am, we'll escort you out now." Melissa glances desperately toward Daniels, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Daniels, please, do something. I've been here for 10 years. Daniels hesitates, his lips parting, but Richard's voice cuts through, firm and final. "Daniels, your priority is this branch and its customers, not protecting someone who destroyed their trust. Handle the logs. Let security do their job." Melissa's knees almost buckle as the officers gently guide her toward the exit. The crowd murmurs louder, a man near the entrance muttering just loud enough for the phones to catch. Karma moves fast. As the doors close behind her, the lobby falls into a heavy, waiting silence. Richard turns his attention back to Daniels, his expression unwavering. Fade to black. The faint sound of the glass door sliding shut and the low buzz of phone notifications linger as the scene cuts. The overhaul begins. The lobby is quiet now, the tension lingering like a heavy fog after Melissa's removal. Every customer remains in place, phones still raised, their attention fixed on Richard as he turns to Daniels. Richard's voice is low but commanding, every word echoing off the marble. Daniels, starting today, this branch undergoes a full audit. Every complaint, every interaction, every training log, I want it reviewed and corrected. Daniels nods quickly, clutching his tablet like a lifeline. Yes, sir. I'll begin immediately. Should I also notify corporate HR about Melissa's case? Richard's gaze narrows slightly, his tone staying measured. Not just HR, notify compliance and PR as well. This incident is already public, we handle it transparently, or it becomes a scandal. The murmurs rise among the customers, one man near the teller line whispering audibly. He's not just fixing this, he's making an example out of it. Richard shifts his attention to the rest of the staff behind the counters, his voice carrying across the room. From this moment on, every customer who walks through these doors will be treated with respect, dignity, and professionalism. There will be mandatory retraining for every employee here. And any further breach will be met with immediate removal. Gasps ripple through the staff area. A young teller near the end of the row whispers nervously to a colleague. He's cleaning house. Everyone's on notice now. Ariana remains calm beside her father, her posture steady as the weight of his words settles over the branch. She finally speaks, her tone soft but resonant, her eyes scanning the staff. Consider this a new start. For everyone who's here to serve customers, not judge them. The crowd murmurs, phones capturing every angle as the shift in power and tone becomes undeniable. Fade to black. The faint clicking of phone shutters and the low hum of whispers linger as the scene cuts. The quiet hero. The lobby's energy begins to shift, the tension easing slightly as Richard turns his gaze toward the far end of the teller row. Among the nervous faces, a young junior banker, mid-20s, stands stiffly behind her counter, eyes wide but focused. Richard gestures for her to step forward. His tone is calm but carries authority, drawing every phone and eye in the room. I saw you hesitate earlier. You didn't join in the mockery. You wanted to speak up, didn't you? The young banker swallows hard, her voice low but steady. Yes, sir. I knew something wasn't right. I wanted to double-check the file, but Melissa. She glances toward the now empty counter where Melissa once stood. Her words trail off, but Richard nods knowingly. It takes courage to do the right thing when others don't, Richard says, his voice firm but even. From today forward, you'll be moved into a senior training program. This bank needs people who know how to serve customers, not judge them. Gasps ripple through the room. A woman near the waiting area whispers audibly. She just got promoted on the spot. That's how fast things can flip here. The junior banker's eyes widen, her lips parting in surprise. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. Ariana steps forward slightly, her voice soft but carrying through the quiet space. You stood up silently when it mattered. Now you'll have the tools to do it louder next time. The junior banker nods, visibly moved, as phones capture every angle of the exchange. The energy in the lobby begins to soften, from pure tension to a quiet sense of resolution. Fade to black. The faint buzz of phone notifications and soft whispers lingers as the scene cuts. The reassurance. The lobby has settled into a calm hush, the earlier tension replaced with a quiet anticipation. Phones remain raised, the red recording lights glowing as Richard steps forward to face the gathered customers directly. His tone is measured and firm, but warmer now, a clear shift from the cold authority he used with Melissa. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to personally thank you for your patience today. What you witnessed was unacceptable, but it will not be ignored, and it will not be repeated. The crowd murmurs softly, a man near the teller line whispers audibly. He's owning it. You don't see that often from CEOs. Richard continues, his voice resonating in the polished space. Starting immediately, this branch will undergo a full review of its practices and its staff. Our customers are the heart of this bank, and every person who walks through these doors will be treated with the dignity and respect they deserve, no exceptions. Several customers nod, some lowering their phones slightly, clearly reassured. A woman seated near the lounge whispers to her companion. He's turning this into something bigger, like a statement for the whole company. Richard glances briefly at Ariana, then back to the crowd. If any of you experienced or witnessed behavior like what you saw today, my office will be open for your reports. We don't just fix problems quietly, we fix them completely. The murmurs grow louder, a ripple of approval spreading through the crowd as more phones capture his words. Ariana remains silent at his side, her calm demeanor reinforcing the weight of his promise. Fade to black. The faint sound of phone shutters and a soft collective sigh from the customers lingers as the scene cuts. Father and daughter. The lobby is beginning to empty as customers finish their transactions, some lingering with their phones still raised, unwilling to miss what happens next. The tension that once filled the space has softened, replaced by a quiet hum of conversation and faint footsteps. Richard steps closer to Ariana, his commanding demeanor easing as his voice drops into something more personal, though still audible enough for nearby cameras to catch. You handled yourself well, Ariana. Calm, composed, even when she tried everything to provoke you. Ariana meets his gaze, her expression steady but thoughtful. I didn't want to match her anger. I knew the truth would speak louder than anything I could say. Richard nods slowly, a faint hint of a smile tugging at his lips. It did. Sometimes the quietest response carries the greatest weight. The assistants remain behind them, silent and professional, while Daniel stands off to the side, quietly coordinating with staff to collect the logs Richard demanded. The faint hum of phones recording is still present, capturing the softer exchange. A woman near the teller line whispers to her friend. She never even raised her voice once. That's why this feels so powerful. Richard glances toward the remaining customers, then back to Ariana. Are you sure you're okay? Being treated like that, even knowing who you are, it's not easy. Ariana's tone is calm, resolute. I'm fine. What matters isn't how she treated me, it's that she can't treat anyone else like that again. Richard studies her for a moment, then nods, his expression softening slightly. You're right. And now, because of today, she won't. Fade to black. The faint sound of soft murmurs and the distant click of a phone shutter lingers as the scene cuts. The departure. The lobby feels lighter now, the tension replaced with a cautious calm. Most of the customers have lowered their phones, though a few still film, wanting to capture the closing moments. The hum of conversation is soft, almost reverent. Richard turns to Ariana, his voice low but firm, carrying enough to be heard by those nearby. We've handled what needed to be handled. Now let the branch clean up its mess. Ariana nods slightly, her posture as composed as ever. She glances around the lobby, meeting the eyes of a few customers and staff members, not with triumph, but with quiet reassurance. Her calm presence alone settles some of the nervous faces behind the counters. Daniel steps forward cautiously, his voice subdued. Mr. Carter. Ms. Carter. I'll personally oversee the audit and retraining. This won't happen again, I promise you. Richard gives him a curt nod. Make sure of it, Daniels. If I find another Melissa here, your position will be next on the line. Daniel's throat bobs as he swallows, quickly nodding again. The two assistants step closer, one holding the glass door open as Richard and Ariana prepare to leave. A soft murmur ripples through the customers as they watch the pair move toward the exit. A man near the entrance whispers audibly. She walked in as just another customer, and leaves as the CEO's daughter who just changed everything. As Richard and Ariana step through the door, the faint sound of phones recording fades, leaving behind only the soft chime of the glass door sliding shut. Fade to black. The faint hum of the branch returning to normal business lingers as the scene cuts. Outside the branch. The heavy glass doors close behind them, muting the faint buzz of whispers and phone cameras from inside. The crisp afternoon air carries a different kind of silence, calmer, lighter, but still charged from what just unfolded. Richard adjusts his cufflinks as they walk down the marble steps toward a waiting black SUV parked by the curb. His voice is lower now, almost conversational, though firm. You handled that perfectly, Ariana. No shouting, no anger, just composure. That's the kind of strength people notice. Ariana glances toward him, her expression steady but thoughtful. It wasn't easy. Every word she said was meant to humiliate me, but I knew reacting would only give her what she wanted. Richard nods, a faint smirk touching his lips. And instead, you let her words destroy her reputation. In front of the entire branch, and half the internet, judging by all those phones. A soft chuckle escapes Ariana, but her tone stays calm, reflective. This wasn't about me, Dad. It's about making sure no one else gets treated like that again, especially people who don't have someone like you walking in to back them up. Richard studies her for a moment as they reach the SUV. And you did exactly that. Now the rest is my job, cleaning house and making sure this never happens again. One of the assistants opens the car door. As Ariana steps inside, she casts one last glance at the branch behind them, its glass facade gleaming under the afternoon sun, the lobby still visible through the windows as the staff inside scramble to regroup. Fade to black. The soft sound of the SUV door closing and the distant hum of city traffic lingers as the scene cuts. The overhaul. The screen fades into a time-lapse sequence. The bank lobby at dawn, empty and silent, sunlight pouring through the glass walls. Staff gathered in a circle, listening as a corporate trainer gestures toward slides on a screen, phrases like customer first and respect and service flashing by. Employees reviewing tablets and signing documents. The junior banker from earlier receiving a new nameplate for her desk, now marked Senior Associate in Training. The branch signage being cleaned and polished as customers filter in, greeted by staff offering genuine smiles. Over the montage, Ariana's calm voice narrates. In the days that followed, the branch changed. Not because of my name, but because everyone finally understood what respect really means. Every employee was retrained. Every complaint was addressed. And for the first time in a long time, customers walked through those doors and felt like they truly mattered. The montage slows, showing a quick shot of Melissa's desk, now empty, cleared out completely. The camera lingers there before cutting back to the bright, bustling lobby filled with staff engaging warmly with customers. Ariana's voice continues. Sometimes, change doesn't come quietly. But when it's done right, it leaves behind something better than what was there before. The montage ends with a shot of Ariana stepping into the branch a week later, greeted warmly by the junior banker, now wearing a new corporate badge. Fade to black. The faint sound of the lobby's soft background music fades out as the scene cuts. The lesson. The scene opens with Ariana seated in a bright, modern office, a soft city skyline visible through the glass behind her. The tone is calm and reflective, the chaos of the bank lobby now a distant memory. Ariana looks directly into the camera, her posture straight but approachable. Her voice is steady and warm, carrying a quiet authority. What happened at that branch wasn't just about me. It was about every person who's ever been dismissed, humiliated, or treated as if their worth depended on appearances. She pauses briefly, letting the words settle before continuing. Respect isn't something people should have to earn by proving who they are. It's the foundation of every interaction, no matter where you come from, what you wear, or what you own. Cut to brief flashbacks, Melissa's smirk behind the counter, phones recording, the moment Richard walked in, before fading back to Ariana in the present. For those who don't have a CEO walking in behind them, I want you to know, your dignity is not negotiable. Stand firm. And know there are people who will fight to change the systems that fail you. Her gaze softens slightly, a faint but genuine smile crossing her lips. Because change isn't just about punishing the ones who do wrong. It's about making sure everyone else is treated right from now on. She leans back slightly, the skyline glowing behind her as the camera slowly pulls away. Fade to black. The soft sound of distant city traffic fades as the scene cuts. A new atmosphere. The screen fades into a wide shot of the bank branch 1 month later. The lobby is bright, bustling, and filled with a very different energy, staff smiling genuinely, customers being greeted warmly, and a calm, professional atmosphere replacing the tension from before. The camera moves slowly through the space. The junior banker, now wearing her new title badge, guiding an elderly customer through paperwork with patience and care. Daniels, now visibly more attentive, personally helping a young couple with a loan application, his tone respectful and measured. A small plaque on the wall reading, "Customer first, always, policy updated." In the background, a customer whispers to another as they wait, their voices faint but clear enough for the audience to hear. This place feels different now. Like it's not just a bank anymore, it's a place where you're actually treated right. As the camera pans toward the glass doors, Ariana enters briefly, not with fanfare, but simply observing. She smiles faintly at the sight, exchanging a quick nod with the junior banker before turning to leave, her presence understated yet impactful. The camera follows her as she steps outside into the sunlight, where Richard is waiting near the SUV. They share a brief, silent glance of understanding before the car door opens. Ariana steps inside, the door closing softly behind her. The SUV pulls away from the curb, disappearing into the busy city streets. Fade to black. On-screen text appears as a voiceover from Ariana closes the story. Change isn't just about what we fix in the moment. It's about leaving behind something better than what we found. The soft hum of the city fades as the screen cuts to silence.